Alright, Shalom. First of all, I want to start this lesson off by giving all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to the sincere Akwath, and Shalom to the scattered Israelites who are amongst these heathen nations and look like these heathens. Now, this lesson is going to be based on basically the lies that Esau over here in the U.S. is telling in regards to how much munitions they still have, after this unnecessary, prolonged U.S.-Israel war on Iran. So through the Spirit, I'm going to read this article, get some precepts, and Lord's will, you're edified. It says, U.S. officials push back on reports of dangerously low munition supplies. Experts warn that low stockpiles of air defense interceptors as a result of the war on Iran leave the U.S. vulnerable. The White House and Pentagon have pushed back on a slat of recent reports indicating that supplies of both offensive and defensive weapons have dropped dangerously low after 5 months of war on Iran. Experts have said that low supplies of air defense interceptors, particularly those used in Patriot and terminal high-altitude area defense, THAAD, may pose a particular threat to U.S. forces with knock-on effects for allies in the region and beyond. But in a statement provided to Al Jazeera on Tuesday by the White House, President Donald Trump pushed back on claims the U.S. faced deficiencies in its current supply. So we have far more munitions than anyone in the world, and far more than we need, despite the fact that an unprecedented amount was given away by crooked Joe Biden and the Biden administration to Ukraine and Europe at no cost, in one of many of their extremely dumb moves, Trump said. He was referencing the Patriot interceptor transfers to Ukraine under former President Joe Biden following Russia's invasion. Trump pointed to new efforts to scale up weapons production, although experts have questioned whether supplies of air defense missiles could indeed be scaled up in a timely fashion. He said, and as we build up, we will start issuing more to our allies in Europe and elsewhere, Trump said. And this right here shows the pride of Esau. Like, all the experts are saying, hey, we're low on these missiles, and Trump is like, no, we got plenty. We could be handing them out, That's the pride of Esau. He doesn't want to admit that he's been making the wrong moves and it's putting the U.S. in danger. So he's just lying because he knows that there is a portion of the U.S. population that's going to believe his lies. Anybody with a functioning brain knows that this man is lying through his teeth. But because he knows that there are people that will believe him, he's just going to keep spewing lies. 144, Barakatah Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. The Pentagon spokesman, Sean Parnell, also maintained that the U.S. was not in dire straits on the issue. Said America's military is the most powerful in the world and has everything it needs to execute at the time and place of the president's choosing, Parnell said in a statement to Al Jazeera. We have executed multiple successful operations across combatant commands while ensuring the U.S. military possesses a deep arsenal of capabilities to protect our people and our interests. Several reports on Monday indicated that the situation may be more pronounced than U.S. officials have publicly said. CNN, for instance, reported that the U.S. military had depleted 80% of the THAAD interceptors it had prior to the war, and about half of its Patriot interceptors. Sources described the levels as dangerously low. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth swiftly contested the 80% figure and the characterization of the threat it posed. posting "not true" and "shame on you" on X on Monday. In an analysis published by the Washington, D.C.-based Center for Strategic International Studies on July 27th, the think tank calculated that as of that date, the military had just more than a third of its Patriot interceptors left and about half of its THAAD interceptors. CSIS has assessed that it would take at least 3 years, even with a recent flurry of funding, to bring supplies to pre-war levels. So basically, Trump is a liar and his administration are liars. They don't want the U.S. Population to panic. But if you've been paying attention, a lot of the civilian population here in the U.S. already knows that, the military has wasted a lot of its missiles in this illegal war. Like, it's not even a question. The only ones who believe otherwise are, Trump's mindless supporters, his brainwashed followers. They're the only ones who believe that him and his wicked administration have everything under control. Job 14:5, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. And that's right. These Edomites are on a time limit. And Salakia. And they're very quickly running out of time. Esau is getting exposed left and right, all day, every day, 365, 24/7. It doesn't matter what Trump says or what his administration says. Nobody in their right mind, nobody with, any bit of intelligence is gonna believe it. Trump has to lie. He has to make you think that, the U.S. military is in its tip-top form and all of that. He has to. Because if he told you the truth, everybody would panic. And that would lead to a lot of chaos. Like, people are already pissed that this war is even a thing in the first place. So if he admitted that it was basically all for nothing and that a bunch of U.S. soldiers have been killed, their bases out there in Western Asia have been obliterated, they're almost out of interceptor missiles and Patriot missiles, their munition supply is dangerously low. If he admitted that he screwed up royally, that would more than likely turn the little bit of fan base that he still has fully against him. So he can't do it. But the proof is in the pudding. People can already see the writing on the wall. Ecclesiasticus 25:7. There be 9 things which I have judged in mine heart to be happy, and the 10th I will utter with my tongue. A man that have joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy. And that's what we're witnessing. We're witnessing the fall of our enemy, our chief enemy being Esau, the so-called self-proclaimed white man. These Edomites, they're falling apart, they're collapsing, they're crumbling. Their military is not as efficient as it used to be, especially the U.S. military. They're stretched too thin. And they're using up all of their munitions in these pointless wars that they're getting dragged into on behalf of Israel. Fighting Israel's war that Israel is over there starting. Like so many people have said, how in the world can the U.S. have billions upon billions of dollars to spend on the military, but yet the infrastructure in this country is all messed up? Bridges are falling apart, tunnels are falling apart, roads got potholes left and right. You know, like everything is wrong in this country. You know, children don't have food for school. You know, everything is just wrong in this country. But yet, and the government would be like, well, we just don't have the money. But yet you have billions and billions of dollars tucked away for you to participate in illegal wars. Like the so-called white man system has always been a joke. And that's why it's collapsing, because it has run its course. The Lord has basically used Esau for everything that he needed Esau for, and now he's shutting Esau down. And there's that scripture in Proverbs that says, pride goeth before destruction, and an haughty spirit before a fall. And these Edomites, these American Edomites, they have more pride than any other Edomites. And that pride that they have is leading them to destruction. Because even though they're losing and everything that they do is failing, they're still pushing forward. The scriptures say, is there any wisdom left in Teman? And there really isn't. These Edomites, there is no more wisdom left in them. They're just throwing anything and everything at the wall and hoping something goes in their favor at this point. Because you go to the experts, and the experts are like, yeah, we're in a bad position. The U.S. is in a bad position. But, the Trump administration is like, no, we're perfectly fine. We got everything under control. When they have everything the farthest from being in control. They're so out of control, actually. But that's how you know that we're in the last days. The Lord has put the spirit on Esau to just keep pushing to his own destruction. All the warning lights, all the sirens are going off, and Esau is just ignoring them, and he just keeps going. And it's ultimately going to lead to his downfall. And that's what those of us of the hopeful elect are praying for. That the Lord continues to speed up the times and finally bring this devil down. Slakia. But with that, I'm going to wrap it up here. In closing, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakudash, the Wadi Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, for putting his spirit on me to do this lesson. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to our brothers who are fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to the sincere Akwath, which are the sincere sisters. And shalom to the scattered Israelites who are amongst these heathen nations and look like these heathens. I hope you all stay strong, stay safe, stay fervent, stay circumspect, stay prayed up, and Adawan Ratazah, which means Lord's will. Till next time, shalom.